Get connected. Get connected. There, in case you have not noticed, there appears to be a great disconnect or even an ever increasing divide in our society today. And especially with the new administration in place, there seems to be a disconnect now between us as people. And what is so ironic about this is that our technology has progressed so that we may be more connected, but our humanity has regressed, so we are more disconnected. Because we have these devices that can allow us to talk to anyone, anywhere, at any time. But yet, when you look at the state of our society, it seems like we talk to one another less than ever before. Almost everywhere you turn, it seems like people are at odds with one another. From airline passengers rumbling on airplanes to athletic competitions, there seems to be an angst among so many. From angry citizens in local town hall meetings who are focused on the possibility of losing health care, to American university students who woke up one morning to nooses with bananas tied in them. From the booing of a college commencement speaker who most of the students disagreed with her position, to the continued killing of African American males by law enforcement individuals, there seems like there is a disconnect between us now as people. And the disconnect and the divides between families and co-workers and citizens and community workers seems to be growing now at an alarming rate. It's as if we've lost our humanity toward one another. It's almost as if we've received this carte blanche now to just, as the young folk would say, come for one another. Where families can't sit down and discuss difficulties without murder-suicides taking place. To where colleagues can't seem to just hash out differences and without assaulting one another's character or without going to the extreme. It's like we're a disconnected society now. I mean, we've made advancements in so many areas, but our humanity toward one another seems to be moving in a regressive state where families can't function together, and even on in the halls of academia where it once was that we could have differences of opinion and disagree and debate vigorously, because it was on the campuses of colleges and universities where we could have the arguments and hash out things and hash out our differences because we were open-minded. But now it seems like we're less connected. Even in our churches, where we can sit next to somebody week after week and not really know them. We can say a hallelujah and hi, how are you, and good morning and God bless you, but not really know who it is that we are associated with. We can live in neighborhoods now and not know our neighbors. Not know those that live across the street, or those that live beside one another, or those that live around the corner from one another, but yet we're making strides in other areas, but we're losing our connection with one another. So how do we become a more connected community? How do we regain our connection? How is it that we become where our families can disagree without destroying one another? How do we get to a place where even in church we can have disagreements, but our disagreements don't mean that I quit the church? Right. Yes. All right. Disagreements don't mean that I just take my marbles
right,
and pack up and leave.
Yeah. All right.
How can we get to a place where we're a more connected community? Well, here in our text we find a Roman soldier whose servant was near death, and the Roman soldier needs help with his situation, and he realizes something, that the only one that can help me is the one that's not like me. God. He understands that this Jewish carpenter who is unlike me, who doesn't share the same social status I share, who isn't from the lineage that I'm from, who's not a part of the pedigree that I've been born into. He understands that there's someone different than me that can help solve my situation. He knows that Jesus is the one that can help him. And in their exchange and in their interaction with one another, we see a remedy that if we could take it to work with us, even as colleagues and co-workers, if we could take it back into our families, if we could take a lesson from these two. Because Luke shares with us how it is that in a disconnected community, because Jews and Romans did not get along with one another. Rome was in power. And Rome had its you see, I can say, had its foot on the neck of Jews because Rome oppressed the Jewish population, and because Rome had risen to power and Rome was in charge now, Rome despised those that were Jews. Yeah. And therefore, Rome looked upon Jews in a very condescending manner. All right. And here we have a centurion who is a Roman soldier who his servant has taken ill and realizes something, that I've got to cross boundaries. Yeah. That if I stay behind the cultural boundaries, if I stay behind them, then that which has affected my home may affect my entire life. Yeah. Amen. When we stay behind our boundaries. Well, I'm not moving. I'm not. When we erect those boundaries that keep us from moving beyond ourselves, we find ourselves in very dangerous situations, because, see, when you build up a wall to keep other folk out, you also keep yourself in. And when I keep myself in, then I cannot experience all that God desires for me to experience. So then how do we become more connected then as a community? Let's look at this because here, one of the first things in order to get connected and or reconnect is that we have to live with a regard for other folk. Yeah. I mean, I know that sounds so simple that you mean just consider other people? Yeah. Yeah. I have to have part of my worldview has to be that I have a regard for other people, that I consider other people, that I'm not just stuck on me. Let's look at it here in verse 2 and 3, because it's really interesting here what Luke writes. He says, they're a centurion's servant whom his master valued highly, was sick and about to die. The centurion heard of Jesus and sent some elders of the Jews to him, asking him to come and heal his servant. Now check this out. Here, Luke tells us that there is a centurion who is a Roman soldier who has a servant. Because Rome was in charge, and Rome was part of the high post society. They were part of the elite of the society. So therefore, they could afford some of the accoutrements to life that others could not afford. So he had servants. Or at least we know he has at least one servant. And what happens to his servant is that his servant takes ill. And his servant is about to die, and what the centurion does is he sends some of the elders of the Jews to Jesus and says, look, can he come heal my servant? All right. Now, the centurion cares about the servant because Luke sneaks it in on us, and he tells us, he says, whom his master valued highly. Yeah. See, he had regard for him who worked for him. Yeah. He valued him. He valued him highly, although he worked for the centurion. Yes. The centurion because he's part of the Roman establishment, he can buy another servant. He can get another servant.
Yes, yes.
But what happens to him, or what is going on with him, is that he values his servant highly.
Yes.
He has a regard for the relationship that he has with the one who's working for him.
Yes.
And see, when we live in a place where we value relationships, see, what happens with us, where we get it twisted in this fast moving society that we live in, is that we start valuing things over people.
Yeah.
All right.
So you see, when the relationships that I'm a part of are not valuable to me, but the things that I can get are more valuable to me, then I live with disregard for those that are in my life, because it's the things that mean more to me than the relationships that I have.
Yes.
See, as a family, my family relationship ought to be so valuable to me that no thing, no car, no house, no job, no nothing else is more valuable than my relationship with those that I'm in relationship with.
All right.
But when I get to a place where I use relationships to get the things that I want, because I see things as more valuable than relationship, then I have disregard even for my co-workers. See, this centurion lives in a space where in his mind, that although this is one of my servants, he's still valuable. And Luke says that his master, he valued him highly.
Yes.
See, he could have done him like we do people.
Mama. All right.
You know, you're no more benefit for me. So look, I need to move on because there's no more benefit for me out of this relationship or this acquaintance or this relationship that we have. So therefore, since I'm not getting anything else anymore, I don't get anything else out of this, I need to get rid of you and get on to the next so that I can get something, because I don't really value relationships. I value the stuff that I get.
Mama.
When I have regard for others, I understand the importance of the relationship, the value of the relationship. And no car is going to be worth more. No job is going to be worth more. Because see, some of us treat our coworkers better than we treat our family members. Okay, let me see. It's Monday morning, Tuesday morning. Oh, hey, Mr. Charlie, how you doing this morning? How was your weekend? Oh, fantastic. How's the missus? Good, fantastic. That is just so beautiful. Monday afternoon on my way into the house. Hey. Anytime the relationships at work are more valuable, how come the family gets the hay? Mr. Charlie this centurion valued highly his servant, so much so until he sent some Jewish elders to him, asking him to come and heal his servant. So if we're going to reconnect, then our relationships, we have to have a regard for one another. See, because you can get in this world that we live in, right? And this becomes more valuable than sitting down and just doing this. Hey, how was your day? Some of us can't eat dinner together without. Huh? Okay. Look, I'm just answering this last email. And it keeps us disconnected. Or I like this. Like you in the kitchen and they in the bedroom. Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
Can you bring down my slippers?
Oh, yeah. That's the new thing.
If you're not careful, if you're not careful in this crazy world we live in, we will be less connected in a more connected society. Secondly, though, if we don't have a regard, in order to reconnect and to get connected, we have to have a regard for one another. But also, and this is probably most important, though, is having reverence for God.
Yes.
Let's look at verses 6 through 8. So Jesus went with them. Well, let me throw in 4 through 8. All right, when they came to Jesus, they pleaded earnestly with him. This man deserves to have you do this because he loves our nation. And check this out, and has built our synagogue. So Jesus went with them. He was not far from the house when the centurion sent friends to say to him, Lord, don't trouble yourself, for I do not deserve to have you come under my roof. That is why I did not even consider myself worthy to come to you. But say the word, and my servant will be healed. For I myself am a man under authority with soldiers under me. I tell this one, go, and he goes. And that one, come, and he comes. I say to my servant, do this, and he does it. This centurion's stature in the community is one of the elitist of the community, because he is financially set. He has servants, right? He has soldiers. He has servants that take care of his what do you call this stuff that's in the house? The domestic stuff. He has servants that take care of his domestic duties, but he has soldiers also that take care of his military duties. And so he is so well off. But check out what he does in verse 5. He loves the Jewish people and has built a synagogue for them. Now, synagogues were, let me see how I can describe synagogues. Synagogues were places of education, places of worship that the Jewish community would come to because the temple had been destroyed. Because when Rome takes over, Rome takes over. And Rome knew that if you destroy the temple, then the people really don't have a place to gather for worship and offering sacrifices to God. So what happened during that time is they would start setting up synagogues in different communities because they did not have the temple to go to any longer. So as they set up synagogues, people in little pockets and villages and communities would come to the synagogue so they could learn from the rabbis. Here, this Roman soldier built them a synagogue. Now, culturally, he's gone against the grain. Because Rome is in charge, and Rome oppresses, and Rome kills. But here he understood something out of his reverence for God. That his reverence for God supersedes his cultural commitment. Amen. So he builds them a synagogue. And not only does he build a synagogue for them, but he sends word and says, look, Lord, don't trouble, but because I don't even deserve you coming to my house. I don't deserve you coming under my roof. That's why I didn't even consider myself worthy to come to you. Because when I look at myself in comparison to you.
All right.
See, that's where the reality sets in. When I start comparing myself to him rather than other folk.
All right.
Because see, I can always find somebody to compare myself to who's doing worse than I am.
Yeah.
And that might comfort me for the moment, but I don't get a real accurate picture of where I'm falling short. So he understands that, look, I don't even consider myself worthy for you to come in my house. Because when I look at you and think about who you are, and all of the stuff that I've done in the name of the Roman government and in the name of an oppressive hand, I can't stand what I see in me because when I look at you, and I see perfection, and I see how you love unconditionally, and where I see where you don't have favorites, and you don't have hang-ups, and you love everybody, no matter who they are or where they've come from. When I have a reverence for God and begin to see people the way God sees people. Yes. Then I don't care about who you are. I don't care where you've come from. Because then I'm willing to cross boundaries. And for many of us, I think we were talking about this Wednesday night in Bible study, many of us, we're allowing relationships to deteriorate because I don't want to cross that street. Because I don't want, you make the first move. No, you change first. No changing necessary with me. But when I look at who God is, and then begin to see, am I being godly? Then I can't help but realize that, wait a minute, I need to go ahead and cross that street. Because we're becoming more disconnected than ever before. Last thing, in order to get connected or to reconnect, I have to have regard for others. I have to live with regard for others in reverence for God. But lastly, I have to have a faith that is relentless and even at the same time remarkable. See, my faith in God goes beyond me pushing scriptures on people. See, so very often we visualize this whole faith thing as me walking around busting people upside the head with scripture. That's faith. That, you know, that it's my ecclesiastical duty to tell you how wrong you are. Look at what Jesus says in verses 9 and 10 about this Roman soldier. He's a Roman soldier, and I don't know if we can even imagine the gravity of this, because look at what Jesus says. When Jesus heard this, he was amazed at him. And turning to the crowd following him, he said, I tell you, I have not found such great faith even in Israel. Then the men who had been sent returned to the house and found the servant well. Here, Jesus makes a remark about the centurion soldier. And he says that I haven't found such great faith even in Israel. Even in his own people who studied the law, who went to the temple, and even when the temple was destroyed, who attended classes in the synagogue, who understood the law, who were part of the chosen people of God, Jesus says that even your faith supersedes everything that I've seen them do.
Yeah.
I mean, this dude he's a soldier in the Roman establishment.
Yeah.
He's a Gentile. He's not part of the Jewish culture. He's not part of the Jewish heritage, but yet he sees the importance in helping them, but also he sees that this Christ that has been sent for them and has been sent for humanity, that there's something about him that's different than anybody else. And so much so until Jesus says that I have not found a faith such as yours even in all of Israel. In other words, even though they've been learning about me and they've been waiting on me and their parents have told them about me and their families have studied books about me and they've gone to the synagogues and heard about me, and even when their grandparents have told them about me, they still don't respond to me like you do.
All right.
Could we, is it possible to go to church and miss Jesus? Man, is it possible to go week after week and month after month and year after year and feed some people and clothe some people and sing for some people and preach for some people and teach some people, but all the while miss Jesus? All the while we've been coming here and learning about him because we still mistreat people and don't treat people the way God treats people.
Yeah.
is greater than all that I've ever seen in Israel. Man. My brothers and sisters, when we get connected, man, there's no telling what we could do. When we get to a place where I have regard for others, and I don't see people as a means to an end, but that I value relationships, that I have a reverence for God, that when I look at God and myself, that I realize something, that I'm not even worthy for all you've done for me.
Yeah, right.
That when I think about how you've blessed me and how good you've been to me, and I still have rascal tendencies, and I still have rascalette tendencies, and I still mess up, and I still drop the ball, but yet you still bless me.
Yeah.
That when I look at that, how when I mess up even on purpose, you still love me. And when I have that kind of reverence for him, then when I hear people talking about him, something on the inside of me begins to resonate with me, because I hear you talking about the one who's blessed me, and he's been good to me and kind to me and has loved me and has walked with me and has blessed me beyond my wildest imagination. See, when I have that kind of reverence, it transfers into the remarkable faith, relentless faith. See, the reverence has to come before the remarkable faith. Yeah, if I'm twisted on who he is, guess what? My faith will show that. But this centurion has faith that even Jesus has to remark and say, look, I haven't found such great faith even in Israel. And as they return home, they found out that he, which the centurion valued so much, was alive and well. In this crazy, chaotic world that we live in, it's imperative that we get connected. Some people may wonder, well, why in the world are we in such a state? Could be that God is using the current conditions to make sure that we get connected. That we connect ourselves to one another.